Today we're going to be continuing to learn about types of energy, and we're going to be using our nonfiction text features in order to better understand our story. So when we're in class, I like to show a book and we look through it and we talk about different parts, and then we're able to share with one another. We do turn and talks, we just share with our groups, things like that. We haven't been able to do that, so today's lesson is going to allow you to see what other people are thinking and kind of build your thinking off of them and allow us to kind of work together to collaborate on this project. So the assignment for today is one that you can go in, you can put yours in, and then you can go back later on and look at what other people have put in and kind of add to yours as you go through. So it's going to be a continuously growing project or growing assignment until it's graded. So I want to take a look through right now. We're going to be looking at a new book today. The book is called Sound. So I'm in reading and I'm going to go to my energy texts and I'm going to find the book Sound. Excuse me. So sound is one of our forms of energy, and like all other energy, it can travel. So we've all seen sound travel. Sound is traveling from me to my computer right now, which is digitally storing it, and then it will eventually be coming out of your speakers and coming into your ears when you watch this lesson. What's really cool is the sound that comes from me is not the same sound that you're hearing. Obviously not right now, but even in class, it's not the same exact thing. What happens is as I speak, my vocal cords in my throat actually vibrate. And you can test this just by putting your hand on your throat and talking. You can feel the vibrations going through your hand. You can also do it really easily by humming. You can feel it in your lips as well. But your vocal cords vibrate. So they flap back and forth. And what that does is it vibrates the air. So what happens is the air molecules in my mouth and right in front of my mouth vibrate and they bounce against each other. And they bounce and they hit other ones. And then those bounce and hit other ones. Kind of like dominoes falling over. It keeps hitting the next molecule until it goes out and is picked up by, my microphone's probably up here, hits my microphone. My microphone digitally records that and then sends it to your speakers. Your speakers work a lot like my vocal cords. They vibrate as well. Now, right now, your computer speakers are probably pretty small, but if you've ever been to a concert or anywhere that they've had those big speakers, like a block party or something like that, you can actually see those speakers pumping and vibrating back and forth, and those are pumping the vibrations. So if you've ever cranked your music up really loud, you can feel surfaces vibrating. So those vibrations shake the air, and then that air shakes until it gets to your head. And then inside your ear, you have special little bones that vibrate, and your brain picks those up as sound. So that's how sound travels. So we're going to be reading a little bit about sound today, and we're going to talk about some of the nonfiction text features that are going to help us. So you can see right here, the book has that speaker that I was talking about. A lot of speakers are covered up these days, but if you have a big boom stereo set or anything like that, sometimes you can see the speakers with that little shape on them here. That's called the cone, and the cone actually vibrates them and acts as similar to the way your vocal cords work. It vibrates the air and pushes it towards your ears. So we're going to be looking at page 10. If you want to read through all this, sound is fascinating. Sound is around us all the time. It's a type of energy we use all the time. It's really cool. So if you'd like to read through this whole story, go for it. If you want to use it for a journal response, that's an awesome idea. This is a great nonfiction text. And it's a lot like the Forms of Energy book that we read, where it's broken up really nicely and there's a lot of good nonfiction text features. It's a great book overall. So if you want to take a look through the whole book, go for it. But just for today's lesson, we're going to be focusing on page 10 or slide 10. The page numbers do line up with the slide numbers, so you can refer to it as slide 10 or page 10. Either way works. So we're going to be looking at how sound works, and you're going to be reading all about how sound works. So immediately looking at this page, I can see that there's a lot going on. My nonfiction text features. I have titles, headings, subtitles, a photograph in the background. So again, a photograph being a real image. And then I have a caption down here. So we've talked about headings and titles and how those are made to draw your eye. So your eye probably went to these explosions first, and then it's immediately drawn to how sound works right there, which is great. That's exactly what the author wants to happen. Then you can go through and you can read it. You're going to be reading the whole thing. The whole thing. I'm just going to be pointing out the nonfiction text features that I really want you to keep an eye out for as you read. So we've talked about heading and subheading and things like that. For today, we're going to be talking about 3 new things. We're going to be talking about photographs, we're going to be talking about captions, and we're going to be talking about sidebars. And we've mentioned all these before in our nonfiction text unit or our nonfiction unit, but we're going to be revisiting them today and looking at how they help us to read nonfiction text and how they show more about it. So on this page right here, I have a photograph and a caption. So my photograph is in the background, and it is fireworks. Now, a photograph is different from a picture, so don't call it a picture. A picture could be anything. A picture could be a drawing, a cartoon, a digital animation, anything like that. A photograph means that this is a real image that was captured by a real camera. No illustrations, no drawings, no watercolors, nothing like that. Excuse me. This photograph is a real image that really happened at some point. And that is one of the essential parts of nonfiction because that shows us that we're looking at real things that really exist. So these are fireworks exploding in the background here. And what usually, or what a lot of times encompasses, or accompanies is the word I'm looking for, comes along with a photograph is a caption. And what a caption does is a caption explains what the photograph is. So it's great to have pictures, but if the author's just slapping in pictures wherever they feel like it, that doesn't make it a good nonfiction text. A good nonfiction text explains and puts pictures in for a reason. You're going to be using this when you write your feature article that's coming up as well. So keep this in mind. You can't just put a picture just because you wanted to put a picture. You need to explain what's going on in the picture and how that connects. So if we look down here, we can see in this little outcropping down here a caption. And it says, when a firework explodes, the bang makes the air vibrate, spreading the sound to our ears. So that's going to correspond with what's up here. You can see it's vibrating sounds. So this caption lines up with what we are reading about and really just gives us an example. So the picture gives us an example of vibrating sound, an example that a lot of us can relate to because most of us have seen fireworks. 4th of July, fireworks are a very universally well-known thing. It's very difficult to go places, especially for big celebrations, and not see fireworks. All over the world, people celebrate with fireworks, so it's a very, very relatable topic. And then our caption down here connects the two. So our author didn't just put in fireworks because they're pretty, they put them in because they're a good example of vibrating sound, a good example that people can relate to. So that's our photograph and our caption. Caption, photograph. Now I'm going to jump on to the next page. Now this gentleman, whacking away on his drum set, another photograph, and if you see attached to it is another caption. And you can see I like this book. They have these little symbols here. It kind of looks like an atom or something like that. But that kind of shows you that this is a caption. So hopefully they continue that. Let's take a look at another page. And look at that. They continue this through the whole book. And by having a uniform setup or something that continues the whole way, it makes it easier for the reader to know, all right, caption, caption, caption. And every time they go through a page, they can find that caption really easily instead of changing it up each time. So we have our photograph, this guy banging on his drums, and we have our caption here. But we have something new on this page. We have all our writing over here with some headings and stuff. But we have this down here. And this is one of the more difficult things that we talked about earlier this year. We talked about how they're kind of difficult to find, and it's called a sidebar. And a sidebar is a lot like what it sounds like. It's off to the side, usually. Sometimes sidebars can be at the bottom, sometimes they can be at the top, but a lot of times they'll be off to one side. And usually, they are outlined in some way, separating them completely from the text. We looked at these with snakes. When we read the snakes article a few months ago, we read about how snakes shed their skin, and that was outlined in black. So it separated a lot. So you can see right here, super science fact. And then it's completely blocked out and separated from the rest of the page. So that is a sidebar. And in nonfiction books, a lot of times what you will see is interesting facts. Interesting fact, fun fact, did you know, super science fact, things like that. A lot of times that will pop up. And basically, what a sidebar is it's an interesting piece of information that goes along with what we were reading, but maybe doesn't really fit into the writing here. So as you read through this, you'll notice that it's not exactly perfect, and this would kind of have felt weird sticking it in here. But it draws your eye, and it's just a little side note, something interesting that the author thought the readers would know. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on that, which I found out on my computer is Command, Option, and the plus sign. It's for a Mac. I don't know about for a PC. So our super science fact. To make a sound, another form of energy has to be converted or turned into sound energy. For example, you use kinetic or movement energy to hit a drum, and this energy is converted into sound energy. So that's a little side note to sound. So we're talking about sound traveling, and we're talking about other sounds. So neither one of those would have fit here very well, but our sidebar provides an interesting fact along with sound. And it does go along with what we're talking about, but it doesn't fit into our text as well. So your job for today is going to be to read from slide 10 all the way down until we get to the end of sound, which is on this cool fighter jet. Let me zoom out. So you're going to be reading from slide 10 to slide 15, and I'd like you to read all of it. So you're reading, not the Tiger King down there. So you're going to be reading all of this, all the writing. You can see we got captions, we have sidebars, we have photographs. You can see that some of the photographs carry over from page to page. So that's the tail of the fighter jet. And I want you to read all the way through this, really, really, really focusing on the photographs, our captions, and our sidebars. And think about how do those enhance your learning and your understanding of this text. Then when you're done reading all the way through, you're going to go back and think about which ones really helped you out, which photographs, which captions, and which sidebars really helped you out. And then you're going to go into our Google Classroom. Here's the lesson right here. And you're going to see there's a Google Sheets called Photographs, Captions, and Sidebars. You're going to click on that, and it's going to open this little puppy for you. So this is the way that we're all going to work together. So we all have access to this document, and it's one document. So all of us are able to see this. So as people begin filling it out, you're going to notice that this begins to get populated with people's work. Now you can see that we have these little boxes, and all of them are numbered. So what I want you to do is I want you to find your corresponding number. So whatever your class number is, you can see it goes up to 20. I'm going to take number 1 because I know that's Kevin's, and he's with Miss Not for reading. So I'm going to use that one. And I want to pick out a photograph, a caption, and a sidebar that really stood out to me. So I'm going to see looking up here, and it explains what each one is. Real images, explains graphs, photos, or illustrations, and includes, that should be, there we go, includes interesting facts that don't fit in the regular text. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to have at least 3 sentences. Please keep it size 10 so that it doesn't go crazy. It should fit in there. If it starts to go out a little bit, I will be monitoring this during the day, so I'll adjust the sizes as necessary. But don't play around with any of the fonts or anything like that. It's all set just the way I want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at sound. And I'm going to use this one because it's the first one. So this is on slide 11, page 11. And let's talk about our, you know what? Since I already did this one, I'm going to do page 10 and we'll talk about the fireworks. So I'm going to go back to that right here. On, and we can use PG for shorthand. On page 10, the photograph of the fireworks helped me to relate And this will fix itself as soon as I press enter. So don't worry that it's going over other people's boxes. Help me to relate vibrating sound energy to my own life. Enter. And you can see that it pops in right there. So I apologize. I said earlier that I wanted 3. I only want 1. So either choose a photograph, a caption, or a sidebar, and then explain it. Do not give me a 3-word sentence. The photograph on page 10 is cool. That was more than 3 words, but don't give me that. I want you to tell me, maybe I'll even put a little direction up here. Tell me how it enhanced your learning. How did it help you? Why did the author put it in? Why is it there? Not just it's a cool picture. The fighter jet is cool. I don't want that. I want you to explain it to me. I want you using the word photograph, caption, or sidebar, and I want you explaining why you chose that. So I'll leave mine here as a little example for you, and maybe even I'll put in a little note up here on what is expected of you. So you're going to go in here, you're going to fill it out. You can click submit on the assignment itself, but you can continue to come back into this because this document itself won't be submitted. So you can come back and continue to edit this even after you submitted it. So if you do it early in the morning and nobody else is in yet, come back and check it. And I'll remind you during the new row meeting. I'll probably bring this up and we'll talk about it as a class. But you can always come back in and add to it, make adjustments, change things up, and you'll see that everybody else will begin to pop in here as well. So it'll be kind of cool. So that's your lesson for today. Again, you're reading slides 10 to, I believe it was 15. 10 to 15. You're reading all of it, really paying attention to the captions, the sidebars, and the photographs. And then you're going to our Google Sheets and you're going to fill in a little bit about one of them that you chose, a photograph, a caption, or a sidebar that you thought really enhanced your understanding and really worked well for this. Put it in here, explain it in a sentence or two. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. And then you're good for the day. And I'll see you guys in the new row meeting.